Helicopters are the dark souls of aviation, and flying them without turning on basically all the assists is an incredible challenge, especially if you don't have the proper controls. Thankfully though, there are a surprising number of small manufacturers out there creating exceptionally realistic controls for just such a purpose. I've been lucky enough to get to test out the H125-2024 Max single engine helicopter sim controller from Max Flight Stick, and let me tell you something, it has been an absolutely humbling experience. Based on the controls for the actual Airbus H125 helicopter, the Max Flight Stick H125 Max is far and away the most impressive flight controller I have in my collection right now from a realism and build standpoint. But since this is a controller designed for pilots by pilots, ground-based rubes such as myself might feel a little overwhelmed when it comes to getting the controls set up in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. The frame itself is made of aluminum and is assembled using various bolts and connectors, also made of metal. There are several plastic caps included in the kit to cover the ends of the aluminum cross members, which is a very good thing indeed because they are quite sharp. I think if you neglect the plastic caps and stub a toe on the end when the stick is fully assembled, you will probably say curse words you didn't even know were possible. Frame assembly is fairly straightforward, although I did deviate somewhat from the illustrations when it came to how I configured my cross members. Since I sit in an office chair rather than a replica pilot seat, I have to worry about the chair moving when I'm operating the pedals. A quick change up of the cross member in the rear of the unit made an effective brake, locking my chair in place. The control box doesn't have a set location in the instructions, so I ended up moving that after my initial setup as well. Leading to my PC from the control box is the most rugged USB-C cable I have ever seen in my life. This looks like something a Navy SEAL would use on the battlefield to connect their tough books together. Overall, the process of assembling the H125-2024 Max was nothing I couldn't handle, but I do wish the instructions had been just a little more detailed and explained the somewhat modular construction options when it came to cross members and the control box itself. Right off the bat, I was struck by just how nice the fit and finish is on the cyclic, throttle, and collective. This is a premium controller. This is the sort of thing flight schools use for training, so it shouldn't be a surprise, and yet I still found myself a little bit in awe. The buttons on the cyclic in particular have excellent clickiness in travel and feel incredibly solid. The collective buttons continue the same tactile excellence with a few nice industrial grade toggle switches thrown in for good measure. They feel like they could be used in a factory to turn crucial equipment on and off. They're that solid. Click, clack. The twist throttle on the collective lever has a little more resistance than I like, but also, since I'm not a helicopter pilot nor any kind of real pilot, I can't speak to whether or not that's how it feels in the actual helicopter on which the controller is based. I do think it's more a problem with the pilot, me, than it is with the equipment, but if you're going all in on a helicopter sim control system and you're not experienced, you may encounter the same rookie issues. I did show it to a real former Army helicopter mechanic, and he was actually surprised by how right it felt. So there you have it. So once I got everything set up and in place, I loaded up the helicopter tutorial section of Flight Sim 2024 and started my journey to my helicopter license. It is important for me to point out here how much I love helicopters, so the idea of flying them as realistically as I can just fills me with a drive to get better. And let me tell you what, it is really hard. However, the H125-2024 Max made it easier than it otherwise would have been using a flight stick and pedal configuration scrambled together from controls intended for fixed wing aircraft, which I've seen a lot. It works. It's not ideal. The biggest challenge I faced getting my helicopter off the ground in a way that didn't cause it to immediately veer to the side and crash was how rugged the pistons on the controls are. Did I mention it uses freaking pistons? After a few hours, I got used to the resistance and wasn't quite as terrible. So pat myself on the back. I'm still terrible, just not, as hilariously so. The pedal resistance from those industrial grade pistons also caused the entire control structure to move around on the floor while I used it, which is a problem I mitigated with a small carpet I purchased. So after a few more sessions, things really settled in for me, and I'm pretty sure this is the first controller I've ever used for any purpose that has a break-in period. Max Flight counts among its customers militaries and private flight schools, and in an environment like that, the break-in period would likely happen in the course of a single day, as opposed to an enthusiast like me who, sadly, doesn't have 8 hours a day to fly virtual helicopters. It speaks to how rugged this setup is, that it requires a break-in period at all. But once I'd worked the controls in, I found them responsive and fun to use. There's still resistance there, more so than in other helicopter setups I've tried, but it makes it feel like I'm operating an actual piece of machinery. The H125-2024 Max single twin engine flight stick is a rugged, heavy-duty piece of simulation equipment that is not for the faint of heart or the light of budget. Its almost all metal build makes it feel like a piece of industrial equipment, and its break-in period is the first such thing I've encountered in a set of controls. Setup is a little bit arduous, but Max Flight does have a set of instructions and videos to help you dial everything in. Once you've assembled it, calibrated it, and assigned its axes and controls, it's the helicopter flight setup dad dreams are made of. The technical aspects of controlling rotary wing aircraft are made all the more satisfying using such a realistic set of controls. This is a case where if you have the means and you are serious about simming, I definitely recommend you check it out. If you're into Flight Simulator 2024, for anything less than a full simulation experience, however, this is not the controller for you, buddy. This is for obsessive purists who want to be able to hypothetically jump from sim to aircraft and be able to control both accurately. For more flight sim, check out my review of Flight Simulator 2024, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.